If you've been told your joint pain is just arthritis, something you have to live with, something that only gets worse, I need you to stop and listen for the next few minutes because that explanation might be incomplete. Here's what most people don't know. Joint pain in people over 60 is frequently driven by chronic low-grade inflammation, not just cartilage wearing down. And the compound that's been shown in clinical trials to directly target that inflammation isn't a prescription drug. It's sitting in most people's spice rack right now, and almost everyone is using it the wrong way. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why your joints hurt, the 3 most common mistakes that are quietly making it worse, and the specific way to use this one spice with the right dose, the right form, and the right timing, so it actually works instead of just sitting in your cabinet doing nothing. Stay with me. This one matters. I'm Dr. Ethan Brooks. I've spent close to 2 decades working with patients on joint health, inflammation, and healthy aging. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that the standard advice most seniors get, just take some ibuprofen and rest, treats the symptom, not the cause. I want to be upfront with you. I'm not here to sell you a miracle. I'm here to walk you through what the actual clinical research shows, because there's a lot of noise out there, and most of it isn't backed by real studies. What we're talking about today, curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, has been studied in multiple randomized, placebo-controlled clinical trials involving people specifically with knee osteoarthritis. In one well-designed 8-week trial of 101 adults, participants taking a standardized curcumin extract twice daily saw significantly greater reductions in knee pain scores compared to the placebo group, along with measurable improvements in walking speed and mobility tests. This isn't a fringe supplement claim. It's published, peer-reviewed clinical data. That's what I want to walk you through today. Not hype, but what actually happens in your joints, why so many well-meaning attempts to fix it fail, and exactly how to do it right. Why your joints actually hurt. Let's talk about what's really happening inside an aging joint, because this is the part almost nobody explains clearly. Your joints are cushioned by cartilage, a smooth, flexible tissue that lets bones glide against each other without friction. As we age, that cartilage naturally thins. But here's the part that gets skipped. Thinning cartilage alone doesn't fully explain the pain. What drives most of the day-to-day aching, stiffness, and swelling is inflammation. Specifically, a molecular pathway involving an enzyme called COX-2, which ramps up production of inflammatory compounds called prostaglandins inside the joint. Think of it like a low-grade fire that never fully goes out. It flares when you overuse the joint. It flares in cold weather. It flares after a bad night's sleep. And over months and years, that constant background inflammation actually accelerates cartilage breakdown even further. It's a cycle. Inflammation damages the joint. The damage triggers more inflammation, and round it goes. This is exactly why anti-inflammatory approaches, done correctly, can make such a measurable difference. You're not just masking pain, you're interrupting the cycle that's driving the damage in the first place. Now, most people have heard turmeric is good for inflammation at some point. But here's the problem, and this is where we need to talk about what's going wrong. Mistake number 1, taking turmeric powder alone, not the extract. The scientific danger. Sprinkling turmeric powder on your food or taking a plain turmeric capsule sounds like the right idea. But curcumin, the active anti-inflammatory compound in turmeric, is very poorly absorbed by the body on its own. Research on curcumin's pharmacokinetics has consistently identified low bioavailability as the single biggest obstacle to it working at all. Most of what you swallow passes through your system before your body can actually use it. The shocking study statistic. This is such a well-established issue that virtually every major clinical trial on curcumin for osteoarthritis uses a specially formulated extract, not raw turmeric powder, specifically because plain turmeric doesn't reach a therapeutic concentration in the bloodstream. The patient story. I think of patients I've worked with who tell me almost word for word, "I already tried turmeric, it didn't do anything for my knees." When we go through what they actually took, usually a pinch of turmeric powder in tea or a cheap capsule with no absorption enhancer, it's almost never the compound that failed. It's the delivery. Mistake number 2, taking it inconsistently, as needed. The scientific danger. Curcumin doesn't work like a painkiller that hits your bloodstream and blocks pain in an hour. It works by gradually reducing the underlying inflammatory activity in the joint over time. Taking it only on bad pain days means you never build up the sustained anti-inflammatory effect the clinical trials actually measured. The shocking study statistic. In the clinical trials showing meaningful pain reduction, participants took their curcumin extract on a fixed, twice-daily schedule for a minimum of 8 full weeks before final outcomes were measured, not sporadically and not for just a few days. The patient story. This is one of the most common patterns I see. Someone takes it for 4 or 5 days, doesn't feel a dramatic difference, and stops. Then they conclude it doesn't work for them. But that timeline simply doesn't match how the compound behaves in the body. You're looking at weeks, not days. Mistake number 3, ignoring absorption boosters. The scientific danger. Even good curcumin extracts benefit enormously from being paired with something that improves absorption, most commonly black pepper, piperine, or being taken with a meal containing some fat since curcumin is fat-soluble. Skip that step, and you're cutting your own results short before you even start. The shocking study statistic. Research specifically comparing curcumin taken alone versus curcumin paired with piperine has shown dramatically improved blood concentration levels of curcumin when the two are combined. This is one of the most consistently replicated findings in curcumin research. The patient story. I recall a patient, a man in his early 70s, avid gardener, frustrated that his knees were keeping him off his feet, who'd been taking a curcumin supplement for weeks with barely any change. The fix wasn't a different supplement, it was simply switching to a formulation that included piperine and taking it with his largest meal of the day instead of on an empty stomach. Within several weeks, he was back to full gardening days. So let's get specific. Here is exactly how to use curcumin the way it was actually studied, not the way most people casually try it. Step 1. Choose the right form. Scientific benefit. Look for a standardized curcumin extract, not plain turmeric powder. Ideally one that lists its curcuminoid content on the label and includes an absorption enhancer like piperine, or uses a bioavailability enhanced formulation. Success study statistic. The trials that demonstrated significant pain reduction and improved mobility used standardized extracts delivering roughly 500 milligrams of curcuminoids per dose, taken twice daily, not random amounts of kitchen cabinet turmeric. Specific action plan. When you're choosing a supplement, check the label for curcuminoid content and look for the inclusion of black pepper extract piperine or a bioavailability enhanced formulation. This single label check separates products that can realistically work from ones that likely won't. Step 2. Get the dose and timing right. Scientific benefit. Consistent meal-paired dosing allows curcumin, a fat-soluble compound, to absorb properly and maintain steady levels in your system, which is what allows it to meaningfully influence the COX-2 inflammatory pathway over time. Success study. Statistic. Meta-analyses pooling data across multiple randomized controlled trials, collectively involving more than 800 participants with knee osteoarthritis, found that curcumin doses in the range of roughly 1,000 milligrams per day, taken consistently, were associated with meaningful improvements in pain and quality of life scores. Specific action plan. Take your curcumin supplement with your 2 largest meals of the day. For most people, that's breakfast and dinner. Every single day, not just on flare-up days. Set a phone reminder if that helps. Give it a genuine 8-week trial before judging whether it's working, since that's the timeline the actual research used. Step 3. Commit to the full timeline. Give it the time the studies did. Scientific benefit. Reducing chronic inflammation is a gradual process, not an instant one. The joint tissue and the inflammatory pathways feeding it need sustained exposure to see the cumulative effect. Success study. Statistic. In the 8-week randomized trial we discussed earlier, meaningful improvements in knee pain scores and physical function, including faster walking speed on timed tests, became apparent by the study's end, not in the first week or two. Specific action plan. Mark your calendar for 8 weeks out. Track your pain and mobility weekly. Something as simple as rating your pain 1 to 10 each Sunday, or timing how long a short walk takes you. This gives you real, personal data instead of relying on vague impressions of, "Do I feel better?" Before I go any further, if this is the first time someone has actually explained why your joints hurt and how to use this correctly, instead of just telling you to take turmeric, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I put out videos like this every week, specifically for people who want real answers instead of guesses. And I'd genuinely like to know. In the comments below, tell me, have you tried turmeric or curcumin before? And did you know about the black pepper absorption trick? I read every comment, and it helps me know what to cover next. Okay, let's finish this out. Here's what I want you to walk away with today. Your joint pain may not be the unstoppable, purely mechanical decline you've been told it is. A real, measurable piece of it is driven by inflammation. And inflammation is something you have more influence over than you might think. We covered the 3 mistakes that quietly waste people's time and money. Using the wrong form of turmeric, taking it inconsistently, and skipping the absorption step that makes it actually work. And we covered exactly how to do it right. The right extract, the right dose, paired with meals, given a full 8 weeks. This isn't about spending more on expensive treatments. It's about spending correctly on something backed by real clinical research, instead of guessing, and potentially getting more mobility, more comfortable mornings, and more good days back for less than the cost of a single doctor's visit copay. If this video gave you a clearer, more hopeful way to think about your joint pain, subscribe to the channel. I'm here every week, breaking down what the research actually says, without the hype and without the empty promises. I'll see you in the next one.